Okay, this is a message of it's basically how it all links together, how consciousness and randomness, which is where you see the word of the Almighty, how it all fits together, and how if you're a conscious being, yeah, you're subject to the Almighty, and why you should view randomness as the Almighty with respect to you, because that's His word. So you should view randomness as the word of the Almighty, and it affects you even when you're praying. You see, most religions that involve prayer, they have rosary beads, yeah, because as you're praying, you're gonna forget where you are, yeah, because your consciousness is subject to random things. I meditate every day, and even when you're meditating, your consciousness is still subject to randomness. Randomness that comes from random behavior from your body, yeah. Like if you meditate, you start to notice that your body does things randomly. Like you can hiccup, you can yawn, you can there's other random things that your body does, yeah. So this interrupts your meditation and your prayer, but it's not a bad thing. These are things you listen to, and this is the Almighty talking through you, through the random behavior of your body, yeah, because everything in nature is made of energy particles or mass carrying particles. All of these things, energy and mass, are subject to randomness, yeah. Randomness goes at the core of existence. The only thing that we've noticed in nature that is responsible for bringing order to natural phenomena is consciousness. Consciousness, in my view, is that consciousness is a special order of particle or energy, yeah, and it too is subject to randomness. So consciousness is an energy that brings order to physical particles, yeah. That's why when you do the diffraction experiment, as soon as you're conscious of it, you bring order to it. When you're not conscious of the process, it becomes more sporadic. It diffracts, and that's true of nature. So in my previous video, where I point out that driverless cars will be subject to randomness, whether you can't design them not to be. They'll be made of material that is composed of energy or mass carrying particles, and all these things are subject to randomness. All mass carrying particles, yeah, all mass carrying particles have a magnetic field around them. The electron has a magnetic field around it, yeah, and I think in the nucleus as well, it has a magnetic field in there as well. So whatever you design as a technologist or scientist is still going to be subject to random behavior. So you can't eliminate randomness. This is why you choose to see randomness as something that's divine, yeah. In whatever you design, yeah, you must make allowances for randomness to act, yeah. You shouldn't design things which are 100% perfect, because randomness is the reason why there can never be anything that's 100% perfect. And you shouldn't feel disappointed that you can't make anything that's 100% perfect, because if everything was perfect, I don't think human beings would be here. The first life form to be formed would have been perfect, and there wouldn't have been any need to form another one, yeah, and we wouldn't have been here. So it's the imperfections in nature that make it perfect, yeah. It's the imperfections in everything that make it perfect. When you're designing artificial intelligence, you cannot call it a failure, yeah, if it does something random. If it does something random, then that is singularity. Yeah, the random things that these artificial intelligent machines do, that is what singularity is, because consciousness is a subjectively defined phenomena. It's not something that has an energy or mass carrying aspect to it. Yeah, it's a subject rather than an object. Yeah. So when you have a robot, yeah, that's artificially designed, and then you have a coronal mass ejection that registers as a KP index 5 or plus, this robot will be subject to random behavior. During that moment when it's subject to random behavior, it's acting beyond its programming. It's alive. See, it's randomness that is fundamental and key to life and consciousness. The random things it does beyond its programming, that's the life, that's the consciousness, that's the that's the life and the consciousness. And intelligence is what actually brings it into comprehension, into knowledge. So if you've given it intelligence and it has to do with a random act, yeah, then it's alive. Yeah. So because that's what a human mind is. Human mind works on electricity too. When there's a CME and it registers as KP5, it affects your thought processes, the thoughts you're concerned with. Start to be evoked randomly, yeah, and then you have to deal with those thoughts. So when you design your intelligent robot and the CME hits and registers as a KP index 5 or above, and the random process happens to the robot, and then it starts trying to consolidate that's what consciousness is. That's what we do as well as human beings. I do hear of a conspiracy theory that there was a robot. You can research it online. I don't know if it's fake or real, but I'm more inclined to believe that it happened, because I've checked the KP index during that week when it's alleged to have happened, where these robots went around killing quite a substantial number of scientists because something just weird happened. Yeah, they was alive for that moment that they were doing that. They was alive. Yeah, but you have to design these robots not with the quest of being perfect. Yeah, because then to be perfect, you know what you deduce. You all deduce that you need a police state when you come up with ideologies that you believe to be perfect. Yeah, you know that you can't do that, so you need to. So a robot would deduce that if you program it to become perfect all the time. You just program it to accept randomness and just deal with that, and just say your purpose is to deal with random acts when they happen to you. Yeah, that should be the robot's only purpose in life, is to deal with the random acts that happen to it. Because like every life form, the random acts that happen to your body, you have to deal with to sustain, to keep yourself alive. And the objective for this artificial intelligence shouldn't be to be perfect. It should be to keep themselves alive, because that's the objective for all life forms. Yeah, so having randomness as your God, as your creator, as your almighty, yeah, even in artificial intelligence, you have to design them with that concept of the almighty. That is what we call randomness. Yeah, where it reveres randomness, and it sees that as the key to its life. Yeah, that's all I wanted to add, really. Just basically, whatever you design, just know and accept that random acts of nature will affect it, and don't be disappointed when things fail, and just accept that things will fail, and don't try to centralize things because of this very reason. Life has been around for 4 billion years, yeah, and it tried centralizing and it didn't work. So the best way to propagate life to the end of time, yeah, is to decentralize. Yeah, so you can't say we want all human beings to stop having natural sex and we'll leave it in the hands of electronic devices and artificial insemination centers. Well, if they get hit by a KP5 event on the index scale from a CME, it will shut down that machine and will ruin all the sperm and eggs that it's storing. It might defreeze those things and ruin them. So you decentralize it. You give everybody the ability to procreate, yeah, and to produce life. Yeah, that's how life works. It branches off, and then every branch can produce a tree. Every branch can produce a tree. Every tree can produce a branch. So you design it like that, and you don't try to centralize, because for 4 billion years, life has noticed that that does not work. For it to work, you need to be the size of an ant. Yeah, but then you're not the size of an ant, so that doesn't work at this length scale. So basically, just bear in mind that read nature, see what nature is doing, see what nature is telling you. Read the random events that are happening to you. Yeah, and those of you who wish to indulge in holy war, wait for a random act, and for people like you have to wait for the sun to act, just like everybody else. You don't necessarily revere the sun as God or the Almighty. It's just the random acts that it exhibits. Yeah, these are the words that come from the Almighty. The sun itself, you can't view it as a deity, but the random acts that emanate from it, yeah, this is the conversation you're having with the Lord, and you monitor those. Yeah. You can't initiate a holy war until the sun produces a CME, a KP9 or whatever, that neutralizes all electronic devices on the planet. Until that happens, don't bother doing that nonsense. Whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jew, Hindu, whatever, don't bother doing that nonsense, because that's just a waste of time. I won't condemn you for doing it, because as somebody who's had mental illness, how another human being deals with their mental illness is their problem. Some people go out there and shoot people. Some people become introverts. Some people commit suicide. You can't criticize anyone, yeah. But I will not be party to that. I will not be part of some kind of holy war or activism, yeah. That doesn't make sense. Unless all the electronic devices on the planet have been neutralized, you're gonna lose that one. Yeah. So basically, I just wanted to touch on again why randomness to me will be what reminds me of the Most High.